I've sort of watched you develop as we've developed over the last couple of years, and to me you're an inspirational story to many people on a number of different levels, and I just want to touch on some of those today. Let's start with, tell me a little bit, as we were talking, who's Eddie Melton? How did you get to be where you are today? Tell me a little bit about your background.
A little bit of my background, originally from Gary, Indiana, born and raised. I graduated from Horseman High School, right in the heart of downtown Gary area. And I always value my experience growing up, and I think it shaped and defined me into who I am today. From my experiences to the relationships that I built and so forth and so on. Very proud of my background and how my mother raised me as a single parent, and I had my stepfather in my life that was very instrumental in helping to develop those, those morals and values and becoming a man. So I went to Kentucky State University. I had an opportunity to play football there, play quarterback for a couple of years, returned back home after Kentucky State University, and I always knew I wanted to come back to Gary. My dream was to start a business. Never knew what the business was going to be, but I knew I wanted to own a business one day. I just had that entrepreneur.
I'm coming back and I'm going to build something.
I'm going to build something. Well, when I came back, my first job was with a mental health agency that worked with youth. And I started as a child care worker. As kind of grew in the ranks working at that agency and became a director over a program. And after a while, I started building one specific relationship with a young man. And at this time, I'm in my early 20s. And he was 17, 18 years old, so we're not far in between age range. But that relationship there became that first mentor-mentee relationship that I had a chance to be engaged in. And when his caseworker identified me as a mentor, at the time I wasn't very familiar with the term mentor. I've heard it, I thought it was kind of like a cliche term, but at the time when they really showed me what a mentor was, I did a little bit more research, I said, hey, I can do this for the rest of my life. But it was that relationship that I built, and let's call him Tommy for the sake of a conversation now, with Tommy, that helped me to realize that I can help other youth avoid some of the pitfalls that I've fell into in life, knowing where I came, that they coming from the same community, same situations, some different backgrounds, but just wanted to share some of my experiences and not be an authoritative figure, but just kind of be a coach or someone they can listen to. So
that sort of lit the fire of what your business is, and to some extent, then throughout your career, you've kept that part of your life for your avocation as helping mentor these kids.
Absolutely. I see so many opportunities and so many lost opportunities of individuals not reaching their potential. There's a lot of things that I think I can implement in the future. It's so many years to go down the road, but just linking up and partnering with other folks, and partnership and collaboration is something that's needed, especially in this region, in this area, is to partner to how much impact can we have collectively versus an individual trying to do it by themselves. I think it's important that we partner together.
So tell me a little bit more specifically, the mentoring initiative. What does that involve? How did it come about? Well,
partnered with a few organizations, the Urban League of Northwest Indiana, Big Brothers Big Sisters, and a variety of other organizations. We realized one thing, any mentoring organization across the country will tell you this, that they have a hard time identifying mentors. Some have the hard time of recruiting, some have a hard time retaining and keeping them. And so we've tried to build some type of a coalition that can help recruit folks and connect them with a mentoring program. So let's just say yourself, you say, hey, Eddie, I want to get engaged, want to get involved in a community. I have X amount of time to do so. Can you help me find the best organization that may fit my time? And we try to help make that match and that connection with the Big Brothers Big Sisters or Boys and Girls Club or any youth service organization. So,
because you want that connection to last.
You want it to last. You wanted to make sure it makes sense, because the reality, we all have our personal lives, we have families, but there's still that altruistic aspect, that service aspect that we want to give back. Some people may find it through volunteering at a food bank. Some people find it working with youth.
Yeah.
And we try to help those individuals that work with youth connect with those organizations.
So tell me some of the, maybe not specific success stories, but tell me what you see actually positively happening out of all those efforts.
Just youth that feel as if there aren't individuals that can understand their background or their story. I have friends that have experienced a lot of things, myself personally, but we may not have a chance to tell our story much to other folks. When you sit down with a young man or a young lady, you get a chance to tell your story without any condemnation, or you're trying to make them feel bad about the type of life. You're just sharing your experiences. They really open up. They start to trust you. They feel like that you're confiding in them, that you're sharing something in them, and they take that and it starts building that relationship aspect. And with that, they start opening up. They start sharing things that they may not share with anyone else. So to me, a mentor-mentee relationship really starts with trust and communication.
And what do you, you provide a unique example to them because you came right from the neighborhood that they're in. You're talking to a lot of kids in the areas where you grew up, and you know some of the challenges that they've got. You know maybe they don't have the role model that they need in all aspects of their life. You know, tell me a little bit about what it means to you to connect with those kids that ultimately were you X number of years ago.
Oh yeah, it's like looking in the mirror sometimes, and to walk the halls of a former school that I've attended, and to go to a community center or a church that I once participated or attended. It's like going back in time. And I think you and I had the conversation earlier about what would you tell Eddie 25 years ago, what to do and what to prepare for now. And that's how I try to approach it. What would I tell, what have I told myself differently to get prepared for the life that's before me now?
Because my guess is when you were walking the halls of that junior high or that high school, you weren't thinking you're going to be sitting here today talking about how you're mentoring and leading other people, how you're helping develop Northwest Indiana young leadership, how you're getting involved in a TEDx conference. My guess is you weren't probably imagining that for yourself.
No, I always thought football was my way out. Sports was my way out. I had a very limited perspective on that. Didn't venture much outside of Gary growing up in high school. The one thing that really helped me was going on the historical college, black college tour. That opened up my eyes to see the world in a different perspective, that there is a life outside of Northwest Indiana, outside of Gary. That whole college readiness piece was instrumental in my life. And when we sit down and we talk with kids, we say, hey, look, it's okay to go and venture out in regards to different cities, different communities, different towns. If you're going to college, it's okay to stay as well. But don't exclude the opportunity of coming back. You know, and a lot of my friends, they question, why would I want to come back years ago? And now they're thinking about coming back home. And I think they see the difference, they see a change in leadership and vision in the community. So it's interesting to be on the ground floor to see a lot of change happening and developing, and to share that with youth and say, hey, look, this is a good place to live, work, and play. You just have to know how to develop yourself, how you can be a part of that change.
We referenced it a little bit earlier. What are you going to tell that young Eddie? What do you want him to know? If he's watching this little clip of this video right now, what do you want that young man, that young woman to know?
Well, there is a young Eddie, Eddie Jr. So if Eddie Jr. was watching this, or myself, if this was years ago, don't forget to give back. It's important. Service is needed, service is important, but the charity aspect, that spirit cannot leave the community. We have to amplify that spirit. Little Eddie, you're a part of that. You have to be that person within your sphere of influence or sphere of constituents or individuals that's friends with you, to be that leader, to be that person, to inspire and encourage them to help serve and give back to the community. So figure out opportunities where you fit in that lane.
I loved watching the whole process, not just at the TEDx event, but prior, what you guys are doing with South Shore Rail, what you're doing with the leadership group in general. I loved watching that process from the outside to see the next generation of leaders stepping up, and I think there was two strong audiences you influenced there, one older and one younger. I think you told the younger audience through all those activities that, hey, we can actually lead things. We can take major new initiatives on ourselves, and there really is reason to have a lot of confidence about what's going to happen in the future. I think it was also interesting to watch you sort of, through your actions, tell the old guard, you know, we're going to be running something someday, and we're going to have a voice at the table, and we can actually do things on our own. So I think it was a great sort of statement to the young people and the old people that they should have confidence in the people that are going to lead the region in the future. What did you take out of that whole event? What do you take out of the group, really?
Well, to start out, I would say it was a dynamic experience. To see it come from concept to reality. Having conversations in the beginning with individuals that had the vision, and once I seen the passion and desire, for example, with Selena Weatherwax and Matt Glaros and Matt Seltanovitz, and I can go on and on with the entire team.
It's like a dream team of young executives, you know, from a varied background, but it really is like a dream team of people.
To see that passion really sparked the passion in me. To see the connection that they saying this is an opportunity for us to coalesce and come around something and show the community that we can work together. The diversity that was at the table, not just from a ethnicity or religion standpoint or whatever the background, but just from geographic experience, education. It was just a wide range of folks that sit around a table every month for almost a year and talk about what would this become, what do we want to see, what do we want the outcomes to be. So it was just a pleasure and an honor to work with that group, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to come in the future. But to your question also about those two different audience groups, I think when you walk away from that event, I think the best word is wow. And that was one of the speakers that had the wow factor. And the wow was for the more seasoned leaders in the room as well as the emerging leaders in the room. The wow for the more seasoned leaders, from what I'm hearing, was the fact that the confidence that they see in the next generation of leadership that's coming through up in Northwest Indiana. The wow for the emerging leaders is that, wow, there is a lane for me. There is an opportunity for me. So I think this group, we can be a bridge between both generations and say, hey, we have to really value, honor, and respect the knowledge and wisdom that's before us. But at the same time, we have to encourage, motivate, and inspire those that have opportunities, that want to pursue leadership opportunities. And to me, and I'm sure some of the group members will say, leadership is not about what title you hold or what position you hold. It's about what impact you're going to make in the lives of others. And I think that's kind of the spirit that we're trying to have with this, is true significant change and impact.
Well, if that's what you were shooting for from an outside observer, you nailed it. So kudos to all involved. Touch on, there's so many things that I see you at, or I see you and your co-executives participating in from NIPSCO. And it's a heck of a lot more than you're just presenting a check and you go to lunch and you beg out. It's direct community involvement, whether it's the Boys and Girls Club, whether it's mentorship programs, whether it's community activities, whether it's what Angie's doing in Michigan City with all the redevelopment and ongoing ideas for really rebuilding that entire city from a optimism standpoint. I see so many of you out at so many things. Why is that so important to the culture?
Well, I think this, you just said it, the culture at the company is serving. Northern Indiana Public Service Company. You know, we just don't deliver gas and electric, but we have almost 3,000 employees across the northern third of Indiana that live and work in this community that we serve. So I think it's just the spirit and the culture of the organization to serve and to give back. That's why it's just a pleasure. I've been there 4.5 years, almost 5 years, to work for a corporation that wants to give back and wants to see change in the community, to be a part of good change that's taking place. So no matter if it's volunteering with a food bank or volunteering for the Boys and Girls Club, folks jump at the opportunity on their own individual times as well to participate and to give back. NIPSCO, they have a program called Dollars for Doers, where employees, we have X amount of dollars that we can donate to a nonprofit organization just from our volunteer time. So every employee is pretty much an ambassador upon themselves to represent the company and to say, hey, look, NIPSCO, NISource, they support us in what we do in the community. So it's good to be a part of an organization that's conscious and is aware of what the community wants because of the employees that's there. So it's just a pleasure to work with it. We had an awesome team. You mentioned Angie and Rick, Nick, and Kat. The entire team is just fantastic to work with folks that have a passion and want to be a part of the community.
Well, we've interviewed Don Babcock a couple times, and when you say the word passion, you know, it comes right sort of the core. The guy's the biggest cheerleader for Northwest Indiana I think I've ever met. So.
Yeah, Don, when I joined the team, it was definitely welcomed with open arms. And the one thing he shared with me, he said, Eddie, he said, let's find good people in the community and figure out how do we support them. How do we help get good things to happen in the community by supporting good people. It's so much to get done. There's so much to do, and we won't run out of our opportunities to give, pretty much from that standpoint. The people say give of your time, your talent, and your treasure. With those three things, if everyone in the community would just come behind time, talent, and treasure, I think we can go light years ahead and making some significant things happen in Northwest Indiana.